You're listening to 102.9 WFPRLP, Franklin Public Radio.
Yeah.
Maxine, you all set?
All set.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Franklin Planning Board, June 2nd, 2025 meeting. This meeting is audio and video recorded, as well as on Zoom. And the Zoom calling number is 312-626-6798. And the meeting number is 8247-405-2024. We're going to take some general business items first. First item of business will be an endorsement for 15 Liberty Way. If I could go to Amy, Department of Planning, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yep, so 15 Liberty Way was approved on April 28, 2025. They've added the certificate of vote to the front page of the plans. And from what appears, it's all set to be endorsed.
Okay, I'll make a motion to endorse 15 Liberty Way. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just for a point of record, Chris Stickney is not in tonight, but he will be watching it on Zoom at a later date. The second item of business, this would be for an endorsement for 124 to 126 Grove Street. Amy, if I could go to you, Department of Planning, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So again, this was 124, 126 Grove Street in the Industrial Zoning District. The planning board approved the site plan on May 12th, 2025. They've added the certificate of vote to the front page as well.
Anybody have any comments, questions? Make a motion to approve 124 to 126 endorsement. Signature. Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item of business, this would be for a final Form H for Orion Estates. Amy, if I could go to you, please, for the final Form.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to note one other comment. Chris Stickney is actually not present.
Correct.
Okay, so he will watch the Zoom video
Yep.
and fill out the paperwork for future meetings. Yeah, so the last item that the subdivision needed to be completed was the final pavement. He had the binder course down and he was doing final pavement, which he has completed, so he's looking for the final.
Okay. Mike, you satisfied?
This is a project, Mr. Chairman, that's gone on for years and years. We were out there, I want to say maybe 10, 15 years ago when they put the drainage in and the binder was in. I haven't seen it recently. I was actually out last week, so I didn't get a chance to go by there today. I ran out of time. But if the final pavement, it's basically a private driveway, so I don't really see any issues with it.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any comments, questions? No? All right, make a motion to approve the final Form H for O'Brien Estates, Holmes Ave. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item of business, this would be a continuation for discussion for Panther Way Senior Village. This is a special permit, site plan application. Amy, if I could go to you, please, the Department of Planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So They have been in here a few times, originally started with 48 multi-unit senior village overlay district. From comments from the last meeting, the planning board had asked them to reduce the number of units, which they have, from 48 to 43 units. They've removed the unit 1 that was closest to the abutment property. They also removed another dead-end short street that was there. There was discussion about adding the sidewalk from the entrance to CVS, but I know it's been noted that that's quite a distance, and I think it's something they'd have to work with DPW on, if that's something that they want or don't want, so,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Mike, DPW, could I go to you, just your thoughts about the sidewalk, if you have any yet?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the existing sidewalk from Panther Way goes on both sides of the street up to the CVS, obviously, and then on the right-hand side going up towards the high school goes all the way up to the high school. There's the sidewalk ends at CVS. There's a spot in front of the existing bus facility that's there where that could be widened to accommodate a sidewalk, and then in front of their property. If that was to be extended, I think it would make sense to extend it just a little bit further up to the Highland, to the Highwood condominium developed there, to tie all those in. That would make sense to do something like that, but I don't know what the distance is offhand, but it would be along their frontage, plus the frontage of the bus company, and also just a little bit extra beyond that. The roadway's in a little rough condition over there. We've already some drainage issues, but that's something the town would probably be looking to do at some point in the future. There's no immediate plans on Panther Way just yet, though.
Okay, good, thank you. Before I go to the audience, if I could just have you guys introduce yourselves, please, for the record.
Sure. Brad Chaffee, Camford Property Group, applicant.
Rick Goodrow with United Consultants.
Good, thank you. Yeah, actually, you know what, I'm gonna go to you guys first before I go to the board. If you guys want to just give us a brief overview of your thoughts, so some of your changes that you've made.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. So, we have made some changes to the plan. Previously, we had a unit, one single-family unit over in this location. We've eliminated that. We also had a roadway here with 8 units located around that. We've reconfigured that area and eliminated the roadway. I would like to point out that we actually had 49 units proposed, and now we're down to 44. I think Amy had said 48 to 43, but it went from 49 to 44. So that's the number. I just want to clarify that. Additionally, we ran this plan by the deputy fire chief as requested by one of the board members, and he had indicated previously changes to this location here, which we talked about, which was the circular driveway entrance to the commercial space in the larger building. An additional hydrant had been requested, which is in that location, which we'll add when we finalize the design plans. And then there was a concern about the number of units past the dead end. So with the elimination of that street and the reconfiguration of the units, the fire chief has put together a memo, which we'll get to the board, but I believe he's satisfied with this revised plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to the audience, I'll go to the board first. I'll start with Jen.
I think this looks good. I appreciate you listening to our comments and reducing the number of units. I personally am okay with the number of units that it's at right now. I would like to see the sidewalk connection, and if that means financially chipping in so that the town can accelerate that or help make that happen. I know, walking and running or whatnot, it's nice to not have to, particularly with all these residents now here in Highwood, et cetera, to not have to cross the street and then come back down and then cross the street again to just get to CVS or 3 or, any of those properties on that side of West Central. So I think that's a really important connection to make this as a safe project or as safe as possible. and really enhance sort of the lifestyle of the seniors who are living here and just the community in general in this area. But otherwise, I think it looks good. I appreciate the changes.
Kind of similar to Jen, I appreciate the reduction of the units. I'm happy with the number you're proposing at this time and appreciate the removal of that one that was really close to the abutting windows up there. How far is that distance for the sidewalk approximately?
We looked at it, it's about 500 feet
That's to,
That's
that's
to-
to our entrance of.
to our entrance. Now, on the additional side would probably be another 100 or so feet, as Mike had just mentioned.
I'm a little torn on that one. I understand the complexity of having to put it in, but I also understand the need for the sidewalk, as you indicated, Jen. I do have a question. You show a 5-foot wide pedestrian trail coming down to West Central Street as an access point as well. I know your private property here, but I'm wondering, is that trail something that you can bring along and around? Kind of over where your turnaround is there, the round one there? What do you want to call that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a turnaround.
Turnaround.
The full cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it's-
To not this one.
No,
this
that one, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
wondering, can you bring it up and around and maybe
Yeah.
connect it over?
So we have a trail system
Yeah.
right in through here.
What, how complicated would it be to bring it over to where Highwood is?
So now you could come onto the sidewalk
Mhm.
proposed within the development, then it would just be,
Mhm.
I mean, Highwood has some frontage where their driveway is as well, that,
I guess I'm just trying to find a way to, like, internally,
Connect
can you
that,
move
yeah.
people through your property instead of having to
Do
put
a
in?
whole sidewalk.
Yeah,
yeah, internally, the residents of our development,
Yeah.
and someone from Panther Way could traverse through
that's where I'm getting at.
and
Yep.
out to 140.
That's kind of what I'm trying to point out.
Yeah,
Is there
we
a
could-
way to,
But that's not through the, that's like wooded, it's not accessible, it's pretty steep, right?
I'll let Rick speak, but towards the back side of the site where that is wooded, right, that comes out straight of the crossing. But towards the front side, like that goes through actually like the common areas, it's a little more wooded where that sliver is, that comes out to 140, kind of at the bottom of the plan. But the rest of it would be.
Yeah. I guess more so from a surface and grading standpoint, it's not, it's not the same accessibility the sidewalk provides to seniors or people with a stroller or, so.
Or would it be a possibility to eliminate this section of trail and then just relocate the sidewalk along the street?
I think it's a weight between the planning board and what's more important. Do you want trail or do you want sidewalk? Cost-wise for you guys, and I mean, both would be ideal, right? And I guess I'd like to hear what everyone else is thinking on that one.
Yeah,
I
I
can go either
appreciate
way.
that.
Jay?
So, yeah, I get the sidewalk thing, not to get too pedantic about the sidewalk, but as soon as you start messing with the sidewalk over there, as Mike acknowledged, the road is kind of beat up and you kind of get into what the heck's gonna happen with the road. And then you might have a situation where the road is falling apart, or we create a drainage problem that we're not kind of currently aware of. So it can kind of, it's not like super easy, and I think I'd like to, before we put something definitive on the developer, have some level of commitment from the town that there would be a partnership. And I was trying to do the math, go super quick here. But it's like, probably like $120,000 to put that sidewalk in. That's a lot of money. So it's a lot of money to just go and pitch at someone as well, again, without some level of commitment from the municipality, in my opinion, because sidewalks and curbing open cans of worms.
The feasibility of being able to practically do it versus.
Yeah, that's, you go and put the thing in, and all of a sudden there's a drainage problem, it's just like,
It's
well,
puddles.
I don't know if the onus of designing an improvement to the entire roadway, which is what might be necessary to put a sidewalk in and not screw it up, it is on the developer. Because, so hypothetically, you know, they put the sidewalk in and there's a drainage problem, and then the sidewalk gets literally ripped right back out to fix the drainage problem. So I'm not opposed to some level of contribution on behalf of the developer, but I don't think it's as simple as just like smack the sidewalk in. And, yeah, that's my hang up there. I don't know if there's like a way to.
Grade on the, it's on the high side anyway, so.
It's not so much, it's not the high side end of it, it's the, I don't know what the gutter, I have no idea what the gutter line looks like, so I can't really like sit here and pontificate it from like an engineering standpoint. That's just the one thing that kind of common, and we don't have like a revolving fund type option for these projects, right? You know, because that's the other thing that I would offer, that if we had a, you know, some sort of a revolving fund or a co-op fund, then you could say like, all right, we could place X amount of money in here that, you know, that will go towards us at some point in the future, which I could see that, but, you know, that doesn't even include the design, right? So there's another, so you're talking like a $200,000 sidewalk.
I don't disagree, it's likely very complicated,
Mhm.
and there's probably onus on multiple parties, but I think it's really important for the safety of the residents, not just here, but also with Highwood and connecting it all. I mean,
Is there a sidewalk across the street?
it is, but it requires you to cross the intersection to get to that other side of the sidewalk, like, or cross the street to then just go back across the street.
Yeah, I
Nobody
know.
does, so they walk on the road. People take the path of least resistance.
So, yeah, just like as a compromise position, right, so not putting, what could we do to improve the safety in the situation, right, so people can walk through there safely, but not just dump that level of cost on this, you know, could we do like a crossing improvement there, like an RRFB and some markings and signage, and then I understand that people are gonna choose a path of least resistance, but we're also only increasing their travel distance by probably like 80 feet or 100 feet. Crossing the road once and then crossing the road again is annoying.
We're saying people won't do it. They'll do what they do now and walk.
They'll walk down.
Especially high school kids.
Yeah, and I mean, at that point, you can only, yeah, there is a sidewalk there. It's not like there's no, if there was no sidewalk, then I'd be completely on your side, Jen, and I'd be like, yeah, no, put the sidewalk in, don't even think about it. With something there, you know, is there something that can be done, like like I said, RFBs, markings, signage, to improve the crossing there, and provide something viable, but not, you know, at the cost of like $200,000.
Mark?
Wasn't there talk too, with all the earth removal out of there, that it's gonna beat up the road anyway?
Yep.
So there's gonna have to be some road work done, would that be fair to say?
Yep.
So, I agree with Chris is saying if you can kind of do a collaborative thing, but it looks like the road's gonna have to be redone anyway.
I should have stayed
Jay,
on.
what did I call you?
Chris lost a lot of weight.
Oh. Senior moment.
I've been running.
Senior moment. But other than that, I mean, I agree with what Jen said, you know, and, dropping the density and all, and, you know, I like the way the project looks. Only because, on me, I guess, you may want to check the number of parking spaces around the cul-de-sac, because it's not completely accurate.
The 16 is total, but there's yeah. We knew it was just printed.
Otherwise, I'm good.
You're good at that, though. It is.
I actually have the same feeling as Jen about the sidewalk. I think it's about an adult overlay. It's about accessibility. It's about getting people from point A to point B. And if they have to go a roundabout route to get there, chances are someone's gonna get tripped off. So originally I was gonna say drop the number of units, but I'll go with the 44 with the rest of the board, but I'd like to see the sidewalk. And maybe we can have the town work with you, so if there's anything that Mike, and I don't wanna know now, but if there's any possibility of work in conjunction, but I think the whole purpose of these projects is to be able to get from point A to point B safely, okay, you know. You gotta also remember you're increasing the amount of traffic on that road with these units as well. So if you can work that out. And the only other quick one I had was, you had mentioned possibly maybe a restaurant in the larger building. I just, truck turnaround, loading, unloading, you got it, you only have a cul-de-sac out front, and there's your handicap spaces, I don't know how you're gonna load it. Take that in consideration when you're moving this next one back through the rings, to, if something's gonna go there, you have to take that in consideration.
Yep.
All right, that's kind of all I had, as of that, and to Mark's point, and I had brought it up, there's gonna have to be some rework up here in the way after you've done hauling out of this, so definitely keep that in the back in mind. Whether it's mill and overlay or something, but that road's in kind of tough shape right now, and I don't think it's on the town's behalf to reconstruct it after private development, so just take that into consideration.
Chairman, on
Yep.
those points there, the sidewalk and any road work that might need to be done after this project, if the permit is constructed, prior to the next meeting, are you okay with the applicant talking with DPW,
Oh, yeah.
correct? Just to see what they can maybe come up with as a solution?
As we do
That would be
in the
good.
past, if
I
you're all,
would have been asked for that, but thank you for bringing it up. I mean,
you know.
it seems to me it is their road, so.
You know, if Mike
Yep.
and Gary want to, chip in, that's fine too. You know, we're fine with that, to come to some kind of resolution. Okay. So I guess I'll go to the audience. This is just a brief overlay, if anybody has any questions or comments. If not, this is gonna continue, so don't worry about it. You still have other shots at it, so, okay. So, make a motion.
Can I just,
Whoop,
sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Just, if I may, I just, very happy to work with Mike, DBW, go through if we can come up with some creative ways maybe to take it off the road a little bit to save some curbing, kind of come around the, like, me and Rick we'll try to come up with something, see what we can do, and see if we can kind of work on all this stuff. So happy to do this, as much as we can. As long as the layout, big thing for us is we have some comments from Beta. So now that we've reduced some stuff to it, we just want to get back into the, like, grading and some of that utility and stuff. So if the board is happy with that, we'll work with the DPW in that next step to try to, make it what it should with all the connectivity, so.
And I just want to go to Beth's point, I like the idea of the connection of the walking trail, but in this particular instance, I'd be a little concerned because now you're carving out trees between point A and point B, and you're taking away that natural buffer between this site and the other site.
Okay.
That's why I'm leaning more towards the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Just give the neighbors on the backside of the highway some privacy as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and so, oh, okay, my fault, sorry. So, we'll make a motion to continue Panther Way Senior Village to June 30th.
Will you be ready? Yeah, we have June.
Would that be,
It'd be June 30th or July 14th. So,
June
30th
30th.
will be fine. Yeah, that'll be fine. We don't have a ton of drainage stuff to do, it should be fine.
so, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So be our next item of business would be for 151 Grove Street. This is special permit and site plan application. Amy, if I could go to you, please, for Department of Planning.
sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, so last time they were in front of us was on May 12th. There was like a couple of the comments from the planning board came about adding the turning sign for the trucks and the buses. The sign's been added. The bollards outside, oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong.
Oh, I like that. You had curbing
I
in there,
jumped
too.
ahead. Wait a minute, where's my memo? I do think that, oh, here it is, okay. So this is our special permit and site plan for 151 Grove Street. So the comments from the May 12th meeting was providing the site distance from the existing driveway. And I do want to note that there was a meeting today between Beta and Gary and Helen, that I have put the comments on there. If the board was to decide to vote on it, there are a few conditions for signage that was recommended for, has conditions. And that was the other one, adding the signage, entrance stating the vehicles entering and leaving, and then fire as requested, the fire hydrant near the entrance of the site. The only waiver they've requested is to allow the Cape Cod berm in the areas within the gated area. So the front areas would have the vertical granite and reinforced concrete, but the back areas would have the Cape Cod berm.
Thank you, Amy. Before I go to the rest of the board, I'll go to Mike. Mike, are you comfortable with everything you've seen?
So, yeah, they addressed all our previous comments. I know, I think it was last week they met with, to discuss the site distance. I was out last week, I mentioned, but I did speak to Mike earlier today to review what they found. And I think one of the conditions is that, continuing to work with them to try and improve this, stopping the intersection site distance as much as possible from the site. I'm fine with that. I know they've reached out to the state too, trying to see if there's any way to get permission to access a little more property onto the state property, clear a little bit more. That may or may not work out, but we're talking about adding some signs and doing some, as much as possible, improve the intersection site distance there. They do meet the minimum required stopping site distance along Grove Street, which is the critical piece.
Thank you. Gary?
As Mike stated, we did have a meeting last week, I think last Thursday, to discuss this, and Dennis unfortunately is not on tonight. I pretty much left this to Dennis only because he was the traffic guy on this, and he didn't have as much of an issue with this as we originally had desired originally talked about relative to this. And part of this was the fact that, yeah, you do have the adequate site distance. Van Ness had actually done some traffic studies out there to make a determination that in fact the speed was down below 35 miles an hour. So when you started looking at it, yeah, they did have that ability. So I wasn't quite as concerned, and they did indicate to us that they were going to try to talk to the state to see if we can actually improve on the site distance associated with that. And I will note that they do have quite a bit of light spillage onto that intersection. So that intersection will be well lit up as in association with the street pole, the lighting pole that they have proposed at the intersection.
Good. Thank you. To the board, I'll go to Jen first. Jen, thoughts, questions?
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we can only take the advice of the experts. My only concern was that site distance. I guess just clarifying questions. The average speed that was calculated in terms of typical daytime weekday hours, right? So I feel like that's different than the weekend or nighttime average speed. Maybe that's just a hunch, but in terms of like passenger vehicles versus truck traffic, changes the average speed of the road. And then the stopping distance, is that based on, and maybe this is to you, it's tough because the traffic engineer is not on the call, but ability for a passenger vehicle to stop? That, if they're coming and someone's turning, they have enough distance to adequately hit the brakes and stop? Or is that the same stopping distance for a tractor trailer or kind of a heavier truck that might have more momentum to stop? I guess that's one question I have in terms of wanting clarification on what that really means.
I have to admit, I'd have to look it up. I would have to look it up.
Yeah.
I can say regarding what stopping site distance is it is both the time to react to seeing something in the road in front of you, which they give it's like half the distance is time to see it and react. It's pretty conservative. And then the other half is the time it actually is the time it takes to come to a stop. So I do know reaction time is factored in to that calculation. I can't speak either to 100% whether or not it's for absolute heavy vehicles, but everything that AASHTO does is generally pretty conservative.
Just for the record, could you gentlemen just introduce yourself?
Sure. Michael Hassett, Gary and Howland.
And Richard Cornetta, attorney for the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Good?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I will follow the advice of the experts on the site distance.
Okay, good. Jay?
Just from my recollection, what improvements were you guys offering to kind of mitigate the site distance issue? Was some cutting and signage and things of the like, or?
Yeah, so trimming the vegetation inside the right-of-way where we can. We can't go into the state forest unless we can manage to get permission, which that's going to be a process. And then also the installation of a sign, the exact wording and phrasing on it to be determined in coordination with Beta and the DPW, but essentially it'll be an intersection ahead speed advisory sign.
Yeah. Is there any, like, grading that can be done of, like, the topography along the edge of the road there, right? Is any of it, like, high and within the right of way that you can kind of knock down?
So the high point, that's what that
Sorry.
chart is the top one is the 305 feet that we originally shown. That's for a 40 mile per hour design speed. As Gary said, the 85th percentile speed, which means 85% of cars in below, go below. That number is 34 miles per hour in that section approaching from the north. And that was measured over, I think, 2 days.
So the.
But those humps are in the state land. And so you can see as you shrink, which is coming from top to bottom, that's shortening the site distance. The bottom one is the 240 feet of site distance that we have. The AASHTO recommended for stopping site distance for 35 miles per hour is 250. So we're just 10 short from the recommendation. And once you're clear of that, there's no more visual impediments in terms of terrain. It's just any vegetation that we can trim in the right of way.
There's gonna be no pedestrian access here, right?
I don't believe so. I think we ran a sidewalk out to the front, but I don't think there's really one on Grove Street.
Do we even want the
And it's-
sidewalk to the front?
And as
If
far as
there's site
it's
distance
a
issues, I
storage
don't even know if I want
facility
I
too.
don't wanna encourage people to walk to the front of this thing, I don't.
It's a storage facility too. I mean, how many people?
I mean, so if there's a site distance, if there's a site distance issue, I'm way less concerned about, you're concerned about car accidents, I'm not saying go away car accidents, but when I'm worried about site distance issue, it's human versus car, mostly. So,
So we do have that site distance, which is the one directly along Grove Street,
Yeah.
seeing an object in the road already. The one where we're a little bit short is pulling out of the site, looking to the left. That site distance is the one that's is like 10 feet short from the 35 mile per hour guideline. But the second they pull out into the street, oncoming cars can have adequate site distance. It's just the curve prevents the person, because site distance counts, it's 14 and a half feet back from the edge of pavement. And so, when you're that far back from the edge of the traveled way, that's when you're trying to look through the
Exactly.
the state forest. But the second they pull out into the street, it's a lot clearer.
is the stop line gonna be 14 and a half feet back from the edge of the right of way?
Well, it's not the stop line, but it's where the driver's eye would be anticipated to be, is with the 14 and a half feet back.
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting, right, is the stop line's 8 feet, are you really, yeah, I guess you are about 14 feet, you're right. Okay.
Sidewalk wise? Oh, sorry, I'm just thinking maybe leave it in case somebody gets dropped off to the facility, they pick something up or whatever, so it's safe means of.
Well, then you just bring them onto the site, that's the safest way to handle it.
Yeah, but where's the gate? The gate's inbound a little bit, right?
Yeah,
so
the
my
gate's
thought
up on
is
the building.
rather- so just so they got a safe haven, just if they get dropped off or they get picked up and brought to some point, that's all.
Or if there's plans to continue the sidewalk on Grove Street ever.
It's
Is
a
that
connection point, yeah.
in the future plans is to complete the
So-
street?
Through the chair, so we did extend it all the way to the Snet Trail, just beyond that to Old Grove. The intent is to eventually continue further up. I know there's a 40B project, going to be assigned construction. There's some plans to do a little bit in front of there, but when we actually have the funds to actually construct the next phase, to actually extend it all the way up, I can't speak to that. That could be a long time.
Sure.
But someday, it would be nice to be able to have that done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say just leave the sidewalk to.
So actually,
I think they made this spoken, memory, but I don't think we show a sidewalk.
No, you don't. That's why I'm,
Oh, okay.
like, we're not, there is no sidewalk here, we've never asked for
Yeah,
one.
so it would be, if you want a sidewalk, it would be.
No, we don't, no. No one's walking to the self-storage on Grove
No, I'm
Street.
just thinking if we get dropped off, that's all.
Well, the gate is in the site, yeah, someone could come into the site, drop them off at the front of the building and come back around. And it's not really an appropriate drop-off site on Grove Street anyway.
I do, through the chair, I do have a question. You mentioned, and sorry that I'm very hung up on this, but again, safety. You mentioned that the stop distance is 10 feet short based on 35-mile-per-hour requirements. However, the speed limit of the road is 40 miles per hour. So how short are we from the 40-mile-per-hour stop distance
So
requirement?
that's 305, so we're about 55 feet short.
That
No,
feels
65.
significant to me. And I feel like it's to assume that, you know, everyone's going 35 miles per hour when really the speed limit is 40 is, like I said, at certain times of day, yeah, that's the case. I think it's a lot of truck traffic, it's slower, that makes sense, but there are definitely times where it is a lot faster, and that is very concerning to me.
And that's why that's not the only mitigating factor. We're looking to show that the intersection sign ahead, improve it through the clearing of vegetation along the right of way. And then any other suggestions that we can come up with through Beta in the town, in the TBW, I mean.
Okay.
And like they said, you know, that's for the person trying to pull out and see, but the second they do pull out, the visibility improves dramatically.
I know, it just feels like a little risky.
Okay?
You know, I mean, give us my bit on I would assume you tried everything you can to relocate the driveway and try different, you know, geometries and all that other stuff, right?
In order to relocate the driveway to significantly improve it, it ends up going through the basin and gets much closer to the wetlands. It's offset from Kenwood again, which I know we didn't want to have happen. And so that's why, you know, in our discussions with Beta, you know, keeping the driveway where it's at and just adding the additional signage seems to be the best approach.
What's the lighting like over there?
The lighting, I'm not 100%, but like as Gary did mention, that we are installing a new light pole near the entrance, and there's going to be spillover into the intersection. So the intersection will be improved, more well lit than it is right now.
Would you consider putting a Cobra head over the intersection?
If that's the request for the board, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
wouldn't be
would, that would
a religious
assist
request.
with, you know,
I don't even know light pole, just to light the intersection on purpose.
yeah, like actually provide street lighting. Because that would, it would enhance you're 55 feet short, 55 feet short is pretty short. Like in terms of percentage, you're talking like, you know, 15% or something like that, really. So that's a fair amount. So to try to do something to kind of mitigate some of the damage, yeah, just a Cobra head out towards, you know, Cobra head on the road or something as well. Light up the intersection. Because at least you're providing some visibility there.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable. We might even be able to reconfigure the one we have that's causing that spillover, just to orient it a little bit better to light the whole intersection too.
Yeah, pretend, you know, figure something out. It might take two, you might be able to do it with one. I'm not a lighting guy.
That'll help Kenwood too, actually.
Yeah, well, kind of, that was kind of my
Yeah.
idea, is like if we're gonna do some level of improvements here and increase the traffic through the whole intersection, let's, you know, aim it towards the road. 55 feet still is a little, give me the heebie-jeebies, but.
Mark? I'm sorry,
Thank
Jay,
you.
all set?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only question would be was there still plans to minimize the tree removal that borders the state forest?
As much as we can, yeah. So I know on the plans, the tree line, you see there's a big bulk of it that comes through here that is to remain. And then I think the only one that, where it both, you know, comes back out and up to the property line is near the intersection to kind of help that site distance and drainage. But we are doing what we can to preserve that tree. And then, you know, we are doing some replanting with conservation seed mixes on side slopes after the fact, so that they'll kind of reestablish themselves as kind of a wooded or non-maintained lawn. It'll be kind of allowed to go back to a natural state.
To that side and to the rear also?
Yeah, wherever we can, that doesn't interfere with drainage infrastructure.
All right, thank you.
I actually have another question. Mike,
Hmm.
if you, or when the town goes about whatever it does for sidewalk improvements over there, is it a fair assumption that it's gonna be a continuation of the 8-foot wide bike path?
That was the original idea at the time when we were doing that first phase, to eventually extend that all the way up to the intersection of Beaver and eventually get access to Beaver Pond.
Yep,
That was the
so-
grand scheme of things.
Okay, so assuming that that's the continuation of that, I'm guessing here, but based on my understanding of the alignment of that roadway, you'll probably have to shift the curb out at this location to accomplish that.
Possibly.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's kinda gonna go that way, so you're gonna end up narrowing the road, you'll reduce the effective speed on the road, and then it'll actually improve your sight distance situation, so I think this might be a temporary issue. I'm trying to come to some level of comfort with it. I'm usually a pretty big stickler about that one. So I think having that in the back of our minds, combined with lighting that up, kind of puts me at ease.
Anybody in the audience? Comments, questions? Anybody on, no, none on? Okay. I concur with the rest of the board, and I do think, I like Jay's idea, the additional light at the entry. I think that'll only help this site as well as across the street. I don't know if there's a street light across the street.
I don't think there
If it
is.
is, I think it's offset down the street.
No, I don't think it's like directed
Yeah.
on, it's not a well-lit intersection,
Yeah.
it's probably mostly offset, I would say.
And then basically you're taking care of the clearing at the front entry, so I'm okay with that, and as long as Gary and Mike and Vanessa are all set, I'm good. So, make a motion to close the hearing. For his second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Chairman, make a motion to allow the following waiver, to allow Cape Cod berm in the areas within the gated area of the remainder of the site will be vertical, granite and rebar concrete.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Special permit?
Conditions, conditions first?
Yes.
Yep. Want to do the conditions?
Hold them up. Okay.
Do you,
We'll go through and vote on,
Jen, the conditions.
oh,
Um.
like, I don't have that in front of me.
Put it on the email right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just the ones that are starred?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was based on the meeting they had.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the following conditions. That the site distance can remain and mitigation includes additional signage along with any additional recommendation from the town for Beta.
And no additional light pole will keep it.
Yeah, and then secondly, recommending an additional light pole at the entrance to the site.
And then fire hydrant at the front, right? Okay? That's on this one. Those are the conditions.
Oh, okay.
All in favor of the additions and the conditions? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to vote. You-
Yep,
I'm gonna print it.
okay. So, the proposed project addresses or is consistent with neighborhood or town need. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Vehicular traffic flow, access and parking and pedestrian safely are properly addressed. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, no. Public roadways, drainage, utilities, and other infrastructure are adequate or will be upgraded to accommodate development. Greg Rondo,
Yes.
Jay Mello,
Yes.
Beth Whirling,
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Neighborhood character and social structure will not be negatively impacted. Greg Rondo.
Yes.
Jay Mello.
Yes.
Beth Whirling.
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Project will not destroy or cause substantial damage to any environmentally significant natural resource, habitat, or feature, or if it will, proposed mitigation, remediation, replication, or compensatory measures are adequate. Greg Rondo.
Yes.
Jay Mello.
Yes.
Beth Whirling.
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Number, height, bulk, location, and siting of buildings and structures will not result in abutting properties being deprived of light or fresh air circulation or being exposed to flooding or subjected to excessive noise, odor, light, vibrations, or airborne particulates. Greg Rondo.
Yes.
Jay Mello.
Yes.
Beth Whirling.
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. Water consumption and sewer use, taking into consideration current and projected future local water supply and demand and wastewater treatment capacity will not be excessive. Greg Rondo.
Yes.
Jay Mello.
Yes.
Beth Whirling.
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. The proposed use will not have adverse effects which overbalance its beneficial effects on either the neighborhood or the town in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. Greg Rondo.
Yes.
Jay Mello.
Yes.
Beth Whirling.
Yes.
Jennifer Williams, yes. So we're all set.
You're all set, gentlemen.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So our next item of business, this would be for a continuation of 157 Cottage Street, site plan application. If I could go to Amy at Department of Planning, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now that I jumped ahead, we're back on schedule.
We already know most of them.
So this is a proposed, building at existing building at 157 Cottage Street in the Commercial 1 zoning district. A couple of the comments from the May 12th meeting was to add the turning sign for trucks and buses. The sign's been added. Provide the bollards outside the play area. The bollards have been added to the plan. Just to note, curbing will be both vertical granite and the Cape Cod burn. And then provide lighting plan showing spillage onto Cottage Street. I didn't notice that. If it was provided, I didn't see that. But that could be something that can be discussed with the planning board. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to the rest of the board, if you could just introduce yourselves for the record, please.
Brad Chaffee, 157 Cottage Street LLC, and Kimber Property Group, owner applicant.
Rick Goodrow with United Consultants.
Hi, Erin Gallagher, Children's Museum of Franklin. Meg Hagan with Children's Museum of Franklin.
And Pat Gallagher with Wilson and Storrs Legal Counsel.
Thank you. Okay. Mike, I'll go to you with DPW, if you could give us a brief overview if you have.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. We had just a couple of minor comments last on the initial submission, and Rick has, with the revised plans, Rick had addressed any comments we had, so we're all set with this.
Good, okay, good, thank you. Gary, go to you next, please.
They pretty much addressed all of the comments. I will add that the issues associated with the fence on the north side relative to that residential abutter have all been straightened out. They've also added another 4-foot fence along that property line to be able to provide the screening required for that residential abutter. Stormwater has been improved. I will admit they've actually brought the site pretty much into compliance, into full compliance with the stormwater standards, so it's a good design in terms of the stormwater issues. Vehicles can traverse the site. It's a little tight, but they can get there. They can get through. But other than that, the only other thing that I have was they do have one AC condenser over on that.
Right side.
Yeah, on that right side. I don't know if it may become an issue, it may not, I'm not sure, but you may want to just note it as a, let Matt take care of it and see what happens once it gets done, if it becomes a nuisance.
Okay. Maybe the new fencing would help offset it too, so.
That's true.
All right. Good, thank you, Gary. Before we go to the audience, I'll go to the board. Jen?
I'm all set. Everything's good.
Beth?
I am curious about a lighting plan though, that's my only question, where is it and what is this village?
Glad you asked. I can, this is the first for me. We went out and purchased a meter to measure the foot candles of existing from the last, I didn't, should have passed it in, but I made a little board today, but I was out there last night. Thanks to Amazon, I was able to get a meter. So, I can, let me,
Can you point it out so?
yeah, I'm
people
gonna walk,
see it,
I
please?
can walk through it.
You need a light?
Can't see that far away either, so I may need.
This is, yeah, you guys wanna, I can bring it up, happy to do that, all
You
right.
need a light? Oh,
We have the appropriate full candles here, Greg.
All right, okay. So this is, here's the building, so there's two poles. Hold it right, all right, this way. You can kind of see that here, so the right side of the building, there's an existing pole, right across the street. And then there's another pole on the left side of the building, that's right there. So if you look at my pictures, this is looking down towards the intersection of Union Street, that's the pole, that's the left side. And if you kind of flip around the other way, that's the pole that comes across from Manchester Street.
So you're not.
So it's
proposing any new
pre-existing.
poles.
So those are two pre-existing poles, basically on the left and the right side. So I went out there and I measured everything with a little foot candle. So at the bottom of the poles, there's like 0.9 or 1 foot candle on there. We're right on the pole, kind of spreads out to the middle. So anything that we have on this plan that's spilling out in the worst case is 0.3, 0.4, right at the middle. So all the other stuff is 0.1, so that spillage is way less than what some spillage is.
Point out where your nearest residence is.
So, but there's one here which is no light spillage whatsoever. And then there's, the other is just across the street. You can kind of tell it's, even the light poles don't make it across the street. It's very dark. And you can't tell, but there's a house here, and then there's a house here. So nothing's, I guess, in there. It's,
I guess my question would be, and sorry, I can't see the audience from here, but
Yeah.
the two abutters that are across the street, are they here by chance? No?
Is there any butters here, please?
No concern for the lighting, I guess, on their part,
Yeah.
if they're existing, and, I mean, now would be the time to
It's
fix it if it is an
yeah.
annoying factor, so, but.
It's very bright with those light poles. This isn't.
Mhm.
No measures, no.
National Grid on them or Eversource?
I would imagine national.
Well, the town probably controls the pad, right?
Excuse me. The DPW controls the actual street lighting. We own, on most poles, we own the actual street lights.
Are you gonna use like downward firing fixtures on your site?
These are all building wall mounts, so in reality, we could even adjust them, put lenses on, there's no poles. It's
Yeah,
all-
so if it really becomes an issue, yeah,
It
just,
can be.
or just use, yeah, just use
Yeah.
hooded or down firing lights, you know.
And I would say to make sure that plan gets into.
We can do that.
Submission
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
drawings.
It's official meter readings, foot candles.
I do the same
And we
stuff,
have no
but
foot in it, so we know where it came from in the picture,
The
so.
only thing I was like, oh, now they're gonna ask me every time I come in here or something, but I should.
Like my graphics,
Okay, Jay?
I got nothing, I'm good.
Mark?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, no one in the audience, no one in Zoom land? Okay, Gary hit mine with the AC unit, that'll be addressed, I think at the final, if anything needs to be addressed, okay, on the side of the building. And the lights village, if it's already pre-existing, I really can't fight with that one very much. You gonna say?
I was just, sorry, I was just gonna say, just so everyone knows, the AC size of these, they're all under 5 tons, so they're like residential in size. So you see in a typical house, it's not a big RTU or anything like that, so I wouldn't imagine there'd be any issues.
Okay.
Rick was just making a comment that I could get a noise meter, but I was metered up for tonight.
That'll be on the next one.
Yes.
It'll be lighting and DBA, that's all.
That's it.
So,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to vote on the 4 waiver requests. Waiver 1 to allow less than 42 inches of cover over the drain pipe. Waiver 2 to allow the use of PVC pipe for site drainage in the roof drain collection system. Waiver 3 to allow curbing to be confirmed. And waiver 4 to allow site lighting to extend past the property line.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Make a motion to approve the site plan for, oh,
One
were there any
more
conditions?
Were you going to condition to monitor the condenser on the right side? Or not?
Sorry, say that again?
Monitor.
To monitor the condenser, if you're comfortable with it, it's fine, just, that was what discussed tonight.
If there are any complaints
Yeah.
with noise, that you guys will mitigate.
Okay.
And make a motion to approve 157 Cottage Street, Franklin Children's Center.
All in favor?
Aye.
You're all set.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Greg, you should have items up and on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. All right, and,
I'll get, you don't want this copy? I mean, I give you
no,
one.
just send it to Amy. So she-
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, our last item of business, this would be for a 60 Earls Way, it's a site plan application, it's a new application. Do I make a motion to waive the reading? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll go to Amy first, Department of Planning. Can you give us a brief overview, Amy, please?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, this is 60 Earls Way in the Industrial Zoning District. They're proposing to construct a 44,000 square foot building at their existing site. So there's currently a building there. They would use the access driveway to access the building that they're proposing, which would be built behind the existing building. We did just receive the check for Beta, so Beta will be reviewing this site. They have requested 4 waivers. I just did want to note that there are 2 owners. There's the owner that is in the rear of the property that they would need to file an A&R and 81P if the site were approved, but they were both on the application.
Good,
Thank you.
I'm gonna look to the applicant for a brief overview, because I know Beta hasn't reviewed anything, but if you wanna give the board and the audience and everybody watching a short overview of the project, that I'd appreciate it. And just introduce yourselves for the record too, please.
Sure. Richard Cornetta, the attorney for the applicant. I'm joined by Rick Goodrow from United Consultants. We have a couple of the Dos Santos family is here. We have Leo and Angelica Dos Santos. They are the proprietors, owners of the property, as well as the owners of First Class Marble and Granite, which is the operating entity that does business at this location. I believe the Vizella family may be on Zoom as well. They are the owners of the rear property. They joined in the application as well. Amy indicated that the property address is 60 Earls Way. That is the location actually of their current marble business, marble and granite business. They would be purchasing a portion of the Vizella parcel in the rear, which is contiguous to their parcel. You'll see on Rick's plans. And those 2 parcels would be joined with an entrance, a singular entrance from the Earls Way side through their existing building. As mentioned, they are proposing to construct a 44,000 square foot warehouse fabrication area that would be used in connection with their current business that's located there. Rick might have a little more detail about the plan that might interest you.
Good, thank you.
Sure, so thank you, Rick Woodrow with United Consultants. We do have a architectural rendering of the plan view of the site, so you can get a feel for the site layout with the building and parking areas. And I also have a rendering of the front of what we're calling the front of the building as well, just to give the board an idea of the building itself. I would hope most of the board members are aware of the location of Earls Way. Currently, there are buildings located on Earls Way. 60 Earls Way is owned by the Dos Santos family, and Simon's family owns the property to the south of that, and then Little Tully LLC owns the building to the north. The Vozella family owns the property to the east, or up the page, plan north, if you will. And the idea is to cut out the back section of the property here for the development of the new building. So what this plan outlines is the existing building located on 60 Earls Way, two abutting buildings located here, access driveway coming in, building located in this area here, parking spaces and access aisles in the front portion of the building. Again, this view is what you're seeing here, which would be seen from the Earls Way side. Loading area for the business would be located on the right side of the plan or the south of the property. Additional parking and some door entrances located here and here to provide access into other areas of the building. Some additional parking and an access driveway with 360-degree access around the building has been provided. Mr. Dos Santos and myself did meet with the deputy fire chief. He did request one additional hydrant be located to the rear of the building, which we added. And we do have a second hydrant located here that he was happy with. We showed him the circulation of the town's fire truck through the site. He was comfortable with that. We understand we don't have a letter from him, but we do expect that would be forthcoming. We've been focusing on Panther Way with the deputy fire chief. And I believe these letters will be coming out as we move forward into this permitting process. So that's a brief overview of the project. I could get into more detail on some of the utilities, the stormwater, but I think that's more something you'll allow Beta to take care of. But that's a brief overview of the project. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Good, thank you. I'll go to Jen again. Jen, comments, questions?
I mean, this is just
Just
initial,
brief,
I think
yeah.
it's, it's that, it abuts the tracks, right, to the plan east, I guess that's true, so,
That's correct.
um,
There's quite a grade change from
Yeah.
the site to to where the track location is.
yeah, I guess, I mean, per usual, my just concern is clear cutting an entire forest for this to happen, but, that's all I have for now.
Okay. Jen, comments, questions?
Like a little bit more information from data before I have any comments, but your layout, you've taken into consideration your abutting properties, you are in an industrial area. I guess circulation within the site, you've talked to the fire chief. Plantings, this is planting, do you have planting plan in here?
Yes.
There it is, I see it. And realizing that you're a butter to, just say plan left, is giving you or part of the property or anything.
Correct.
However, in consideration of them, is there a fence or anything between the warehouse and your property or just the plantings? Sorry, it's hard to see on this plan.
Yeah, just the plantings. I was just gonna flip to that page, but yeah.
And
We'd worked with them on,
they're fine with that?
yep.
Yeah, I guess, I think that's all I'd like to know.
Okay. Jay?
So I had a few questions regarding the subsurface drainage systems, and I wasn't able to follow them completely because just some of the stuff didn't seem to. I just wasn't able to follow it. So you probably brought it to Beta Rec, so if, I'll wait for you guys to look at it. I guess that's probably it. Deal with it. My concern was the proximity of the wall along the back in relation to like 1 and 2. I didn't know if it was possible to just kind of take the drainage system and elongate the Tetris piece on one side and pull it away from the wall. I don't know if we could do that just so there's not a breakout. That's usually my concern with the retaining systems right against the wall, or the detention systems right against the wall. But beyond that, I don't have much to speak about the rest of the site.
Good. Mark?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Won't get too far into it, but I did have a quick comments. Is it possible to get a drawing of the actual entry, less all the overlay, so I can get a clearer shot, less the easements and the lot lines and
Yeah.
a cleaner drawing so I can actually see how you're entering the project without, and I guess the electrical easement, is that a vault, is that a tower?
There's a tower there.
That is a tower, okay.
Yeah, and there's an easement from the tower out to the street.
The bollards around that?
It's fenced in,
Yeah,
I would,
typically,
yeah.
but it's never been approached yet before though, so.
As-
Access-wise.
As far as the access,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's access in there now, there's parking and vehicle
Oh, right.
access in and around that area.
I can tell, that's why I saw.
Yeah, we could put together a plan that just shows,
Just for the entryway, do you plan on getting tractor trailers in there?
no,
No,
we did not.
because you're gonna say you're gonna have a tough time.
Absolutely.
If I wanted
So-
the entry.
Yeah, we did an extensive review with Tetra Tech for the traffic and vehicle entry. WB-50 would be the largest vehicle that we'd be able to get through the site. They would be able to get a tractor-trailer truck through there with some changes to the planned northwest corner coming around the building. We would have to extend that radius out, and they'd be able to get a tractor-trailer truck around that. That was the only place, that, and they couldn't pull into the loading dock and pull out. There's just not enough room with that wall.
So smaller trucks, basically.
Yeah.
Because I questioned that back left corner of the fire department too, that's why I raised my eyebrows when you said it. And I had another question, based on the underground detention system, Peltec system, in relative to the septic system, is there a dimensional distance that we have to be away from each other, so one's not migrating to the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't
Title,
know what it is, I'm just asking.
Yeah, Title
It's a little
V has it.
close. Okay. All right, so
it's
as long as
not,
we-
not as large as you would think it would be in Title V.
Okay, it just caught my eye. Yeah, and then the retaining walls, obviously, is the next big one. I saw you had a quick schematic of what you're gonna have, but I'd like to make sure those are on the drawing.
Yeah, you want like a design for it, right?
Yeah, so when Beta goes out, they have an actual full set of stamped drawings. You know what I'm looking for as we move forward.
Would that be something we could do as a condition of the approval, or would you?
I'd like to get them incorporated in the drawings moving
Okay.
forward. That way everybody's fully aware of what's going in. That is, the building commissioner sees all the details, as well as Beta, Mike, whomever goes out there.
Do you want design calculations submitted with that?
There's no questions on the retaining walls. And these are, what, anywhere from 12 to 15 feet high, if I'm not mistaken. So,
No, they're big boys.
yeah. So I just want to make sure we cover our bases for that. It's kind of all I have for now. I think we'll wait to hear back from Beta with all their comments and Mike and go from there. But if, yeah, sure.
On your parking, you have required 83 and you're providing 89, including 4 handicap spaces. Do you anticipate needing all that parking?
Yeah, I mean, they do have, situations where they do have people in there, so they would like that ability to have the parking spaces.
Just curious, because sometimes we require more parking than we need to, so I just wanted to make sure we needed it versus providing it just because.
You triggered me to a thought. Will you have a showroom in this? I saw there was 2 floors of space.
Yes.
So you're gonna put small commercial, okay.
Yep.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience have any comments, questions? Yeah, just approach the mic, please, and give your name and address. And this is just an initial hearing, so there'll be many more to come. Oh, great. Well, depends.
Jesse Fanuelli, 680 Pleasant Street. My comments are more environmental, aesthetic, and traffic. First-class marble, you guys have done a great job. One thing I really appreciate is how every time I see your trucks coming up Green Street, because I live right on the corner of Green and Pleasant, they follow the speed limit. That's fabulous. A lot of other businesses in town don't do that, so that's very much appreciated. I've done a lot of work in Brookline. I've seen your trucks in Brookline. You guys are doing a good job. I've used you myself. So just a small couple things, so thank you. So one of my questions is, with this warehouse, what are we expecting an increase in traffic to be like? You know, if I look at the existing parking for the building, maybe there's 24 spots, now we're tripling that. And my concern mainly is that Pleasant Street, Chestnut, Earl's Way intersection. It's a tough intersection, especially at rush hour and in the mornings. I know there's a bus stop there, I think, for either Tri-County or Norfolk Agway. And then, you know, I think there needs to be some traffic study done there about what the speed limit is coming down from the Adirondack towards Norfolk, and also coming from Norfolk up that way. And if, I know that there was supposed to be some funds secured for looking at that traffic issue, and hopefully reworking it. And, you know, what is this new warehouse, increase employees, increase of customers, clients, what is that gonna do for that area? So that's a concern I have, as somebody who is sometimes the first person onto the accidents that occur in that area. Another one is the environmental. I know you mentioned it too. It is, you know, it's zoned industrial. I'm very, very good friends with the Simons and with the Vazellas. And as a small business owner, you know, I don't want to stifle any business. I really don't. I'm just concerned about what is that view going to be from Green Street? What's the elevation of the building? Does anybody have, what is the elevation of this warehouse?
What is it? 30 feet to the peak? 30 feet. 30 feet.
30 feet to the peak? Okay. I know that on the plans, there were some existing tree lines. You know, I know that there's going to be new plantings as well, but those would take years to grow to the same existing height that the trees are now. I'm hoping the Vazellas won't cut down those big trees that would separate their property from the warehouse as well. So that was a concern. Parking, visual. The use of the existing buildings, is that, I just had a question, you know, is that, are they going to be staying? Are they going to be sold? Is that going to be part of First Class Marble? Yeah. I guess really, I'm really thinking about the traffic and the environmental piece. I know that there's, you know, a lot of water used in your business, and, you know, is there, I guess this is not probably the purview of planning board, right? But with the stormwater drainage, is there going to be any sort of recycling of the water system that's used internally and externally for this project? So those are just a few concerns that I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys want to respond to a couple of them if you have the answer, or you want to just wait?
We'll wait.
Is it possible to highlight the existing building in an overlay of that for visual, just to show roof lines, just so that it's not.
You want some like
In a section?
elevations? Yeah, want some elevations to the area?
Yeah, just so somebody can get a visual of it, if that helps.
Yeah.
No gravel removal here as well?
There is some movement of gravel.
Oh, within?
Within the site.
Okay.
We have discussed it with the building commissioner.
Okay.
And those conversations resulted in the building commissioner informing us that he did not believe a special permit from the zoning board of appeals was necessary.
Because that is all gravel. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just some valid points regarding the traffic, and perhaps just a traffic memo giving us some insight into the operations of the buildings, and, you know, the comments that were made was, what increase will be for, employees, or, you know, what people are visiting the site now, increasing there, how many additional units we anticipate having, the warehouse operation, obviously gonna have to increase, so just understanding a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
I don't know, so full traffic studies needed, but just some basic information on how that's going to impact that area.
At least inform you whether you want to pursue one.
Exactly.
Mike, in reference to the intersection, I know there's been a lot of talk over the last 10 years. Is there any progress for the
Excuse me.
intersection?
I'll check with Jamie. I know, I think a couple of years ago, he was looking to secure some funding for some long-range planning for the intersection. Nothing's really happened to this point, but I know we're talking about different options for that in the future.
I know it's been out there. Thank you. Okay, so, make a motion to continue. Oops, sorry. Oh. Okay, sorry. Just approach the mic, give your name and address, please.
So my name is Angelica Dos Santos. I'm actually one of the owners at First Class. So in regards to the employee and recycling, so with the bigger building, we can actually put machines in there. So we'll probably reduce a little bit of employees. And then as to water, we recycle water right now, so we would have a bigger machinery to recycle the water we use. And yeah, and then we're planning to put a wall in there as well for water.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah. All right, your turn.
Hey, I'm Leo. I'm in First Class. One more question about the traffic. My plan for reduce the traffic because the big building, I can stock one material and the less truck. Come one truck, big truck, I remove all the material one shot and probably reduce the traffic around Osway. That's why I want a big building for me stock the material inside the shop for me do good customer, good operation for all my customer about the snow and in the winter.
So you can move material faster with a bigger space?
Yes, less truck because now I need more. Now I have a truck every day for delivery in the building.
Logistics is a part of the shop.
I think addressing that in the memo would be good.
I think I'll answer you everything. Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Okay? Okay? Amy?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to continue to,
When do we want to continue? No, you haven't even seen him yet, so.
Oh, no, you'll have a letter tomorrow morning.
Oh.
We've already reviewed it.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I thought it would have by this
No,
afternoon,
I mean, the
so-
check came in a week ago, and we try to give, at least for the first round, like 2 weeks, you
Okay.
know, and then, I don't know about the traffic.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't have it for today, but.
Through the chair, if I could ask Gary, you gonna have Dennis or Jacqueline review traffic a little bit?
I had Dennis
Oh,
take
you
a
had
look at
Dennis.
it.
Okay.
That was in fact one of our comments, we're gonna be asking for a little bit of traffic data, just because it is such a larger, bigger building, and especially with the fabrication, number of employees. I think part of the other issue was that Dennis and I commented on was the access coming, the first corner coming around the building. I believe even Greg mentioned it. When we scaled it, boy, it looks like you only got about 19 feet there. Maybe I'm misreading the drawing.
That's why I wanted to.
Maybe I'm misreading the drawing, but.
Around the existing building? or the
Yeah, from
proposed?
the existing building.
Turning car,
Take a look at it.
circulation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
in regards to the fact that you'll have your letter to them by tomorrow, then if there are any comments, can you guys work together before the next meeting to try to resolve some of them, so things move along?
Sure.
Yes.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're able to talk to Beta like we have in the past, it seems to expedite getting those technical matters addressed, so we do appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, okay. So that being said, Amy, next.
Does June 30th or it's July 14th?
Let's go for 6:30.
Okay.
Motion to continue to June 30th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a reminder to folks watching that we have our second annual Porch Fest on Saturday, the 7th, from noon to 6 in the downtown area. We've got lots of bands and lots of porches, so I hope we'll see all you guys out there.
And following,
Oh, Strawberry Stroll.
Strawberry Stroll's
Oh, yeah.
following Friday, a week from Friday.
Yes. Yep.
So in the
Lots
downtown
of-
area,
the
so
farmer's
hope we
market
can
starts
see a lot of people out
Farmers
there.
Market starts on Friday,
Right.
so
Everything's
downtown
coming
is
alive.
gonna be buzzing.
Now we just need no rain on
If
the
anybody
side.
didn't vote, tomorrow vote.
Oh, yes, and the vote for tomorrow, yep,
Good,
the override.
thank you. Take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.